On behalf of the National Foreign Trade Council, it's my distinct pleasure to welcome you, our distinguished guests, to this birthday celebration for the National Foreign Trade Council. Particularly, I want to welcome Bill Brock, USTR, who is a great leader and a fearless proponent of opening markets. Acting Undersecretary of Commerce for International Trade, Ken Hyatt, a pleasure that you're here. Distinguished ambassadors of Oman, Singapore, Luxembourg, the Chargé of Mexico, glad you could be here, and ranking representatives of other countries' embassies, former NFTC President Frank Kittredge, and we also have with us John Lohman, who representing his great-grandfather, James Farrell, who was at the time CEO of U.S. Steel. James Farrell was the first president and chairman of the NFTC for 29 years. And like his great-grandfather, Mr. Lohman is also president of India House, NFTC's home in New York City for our first 20 years of the existence of the NFTC. Also present is a remarkably well-preserved President Wilson. Please rise for a moment and accept our applause and adulation. He's available to talk with you about trade policy, no matter how detailed the issues are, and have his picture taken with you. A special thank you to our member companies for your support. You are the National Foreign Trade Council. You make a difference to United States and world trade policy. President Wilson cared a lot about trade. From a very young man, as a law student at UVA, he addressed public fora on the subject of the tariff. And when he became president, he managed to pass the Underwood Tariff of 1913. Regrettably, in order to pay for the loss of tariff revenues, we got the income tax. And the top 1%, which was anything over $500,000, that's the equivalent of $12 million in current money, they had to pay 6%, an outrageous sum. 1% for those who earned $20,000 or less. $20,000 was about $475,000 in current dollars. Once the U.S. tariff was cut in 1913, the key question was, what should the country do next? And for this, he called upon American companies and trade experts, and I have here the very first press clipping. It's New York Times, May 11, 1914. Doesn't mention Bill Reinsch, but it's the only press clipping that doesn't. And it was the announcement of a convention and they hired special trains to bring CEOs and others to Washington to meet, and that was the birth of the NFTC. They met on the 100 years ago last night for dinner. William Jennings Bryan, the Secretary of State, spoke. The Secretary of Commerce, who was the first Secretary of Commerce, was the person who reached out to business to a man named Redfield to pull this together. So we're celebrating here tonight a very proud heritage. The NFTC is vitally important throughout these 100 years. It organized to get the economy behind two great wars, and now a lot is at stake. We now have negotiations over both oceans on our borders. We have new possibilities that in the World Trade Organization that simply did not exist prior to Bali, and the Congress needs to focus on getting trade promotion authority through. So this is going to be a very exciting time, and the NFTC is going to be in the middle of it.